American cinema changed everything.
The first ads for Perrier were done by Orson Welles. Just his voice, you didn't even need to see him.
Deep below the plains of southern France, in a mysterious process begun millions of years ago, nature herself carbonates the icy waters of a single spring, Perrier.
Perrier, which had kind of loped along for more than 100 years in France, wanted to break into the US market, which was a huge consumer market, much bigger than France, for instance. Perrier wasn't water, it was a beverage.
Through relentless advertising, Perrier portrayed their spring water as healthy, the perfect drink for a new healthy age. In 1976, Perrier sold 3 million bottles of water in the US. In 1979, they sold 200 million. Perrier snapped up popular brands of American spring water.
Poland Spring in the Northeast, Arrowhead in the southwestern part of the US, Deer Park, Zephyr Hills.
And then Perrier was itself snapped up by Nestle. But spring water supremacy was a devil's bargain. Demand was no problem. The trouble was supply. Nestle needed raw product for its spring water brands, a lot of product.
The explosive growth of bottled water started to put more and more pressure on these natural springs that were sold to the public as high-quality sources of water.
But not all water is created equal. Only 1/1000,000,000% is filtered naturally beneath the earth, with a distinct balance of minerals to be called Poland Spring. Arrowhead, Zephyr Hills, 100%, Deer Park, 100% natural spring water.
In order to keep selling premium spring water, the bottled water industry had to find new sources. They had to find new springs, but the truth is that naturally flowing springs typically aren't very large in volume. They were not large enough to feed the massive growth in demand for spring water.
Nestle and its fellow bottlers found an ingenious solution. Municipal water in the US is regulated by the Environmental Protection Agency. But bottled water is controlled at the federal level by the Food and Drug Administration. So the water bottlers lobbied the FDA to codify a very helpful definition of spring water. Ever since 1996, Nestle or any other bottled water company can sell so-called spring water without getting it straight from an actual spring. They can just drill straight into an underground aquifer, so long as it's connected somewhere to a spring. Any spring.
The trick with groundwater is if you pump it out faster than nature naturally recharges it, groundwater levels drop. It's like a bathtub. If the drain is bigger than the faucet going in, the bathtub level drops. We're seeing wells dry up. We're seeing streams that are fed by groundwater systems dry up and ecosystems be devastated. Nestle's proposals for bottled water plants saw greater and greater public opposition. And that forced Nestle to find places where they could build a plant, where they could access large quantities of groundwater and where there would be a little less public opposition.
It's not at all clear that any such place exists.
Whose water is it? Ours! Whose water is it?
Ours! Nestle has been sued in Connecticut over the truthfulness of Poland Spring marketing. In California, environmentalists sued the federal government to stop Nestle from pumping with an expired permit. The permit was then renewed. And Nestle is being sued in western Michigan by residents who hate the idea that Nestle is making off with billions of gallons of Michigan water and selling it anywhere they like at a huge profit.
This is about as good a cross as any.